If you've created a basic budget in the past, you may have envisioned saving a few $100s a month for your financial future. But at the end of that first month, when you noticed that there was just $11 in your bank account, you kind of look back at that budget and you go, wow, I spent $170 on dining out when I only budgeted $50. And maybe at that point you got frustrated and you gave up. But chances are it's not because you're bad at budgeting. You probably just didn't know where your money was going in the first place. You immediately set yourself up for failure. And we'll get into the details of what I mean right after this. Hey there, I'm Adam Hagerman, your financial coach, and if you're saying things like, with my income, I shouldn't feel this stressed about money, then you're in the right place. This channel is all about helping you better understand your money so you can use it as a tool to help you achieve financial freedom. And in order to achieve financial freedom one day, you need to get a better understanding of your money. And more importantly, you need to understand where your money is currently going right now. And I'm sure you're saying, Adam, I got this. I know exactly what I'm spending on dining out and groceries and entertainment. But what you think you spend is probably way different than what you actually do. If you haven't been tracking up to this point where your money has actually been going, I bet your guess on what you're actually spending is probably way off. And that's why it's important to create a personal income statement. This is especially important to do before you actually create the budget. You need to know how much you're spending now before you figure out how much to budget for the future. And this personal income statement is where I want you to go back and look at your expenses, your actual expenses, over a 30-day time period. It doesn't have to be the exact last 30 days of your life. It could certainly be 30-day time period from a few months ago. So, for example, I'm currently filming this during the coronavirus pandemic, and my wife and I's last 30 days of our expenses are not normal. I am not traveling to and from to work, so we have essentially zero gas expenses. That is not a typical month for us. So we might go back a few months ago and look at a 30-day time period where things were a little bit more normal at that time. So you may have to do the same, but find that 30-day time period that you can evaluate to see how you've been spending money. And if you want to do more than 30 days, that's fine. I would just recommend making sure that you're looking at time periods in 30-day increments. So either 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, things like that. Don't do 45 or 40 because you might have some duplicate expenses in there, some duplicate bills, stuff like that. Try to do the 30-day time period so you're kind of capturing a typical month for you. So in order to review your expenses, to do this personal income statement, the best thing to do is kind of collect all of your statements for all of your accounts where you normally spend money, where income comes in, where money goes out, where you spend money. So that could be your bank account, your checking account, multiple checking accounts, credit cards, multiple credit cards, anywhere where you're spending money. You want to look at those statements because those are what you're going to use to kind of evaluate how you're currently spending your money. And what I would do is I would take the statement that has the most number of transactions in a 30-day time period. So if you use a credit card on a monthly basis, pay it off in full on a monthly basis, but the majority of your expenses on there, that's probably the statement that you want to use to build your 30-day time period. And then if you've got other accounts, other checking accounts, another, credit card that you use only for Amazon purchases or something, you then want to build those statements around the statement that has the most transactions on that. So for that Amazon card or whatever, maybe you have to have two statements in front of you and only block off the time period that you're looking at, the 30-day time period that you're looking at. Or you can even log into your online account for that credit card and narrow your purchases. You can kind of sort your purchases on that website for that 30-day time period. You can absolutely do that. And once you have those statements outlined for that 30-day time period that you're looking at, what you want to do is you want to go through those statements line by line and put every transaction into a category. So if you see a local restaurant, you might put dining out. If you see a local clothing store, you might put clothing. Put them into the different categories that, kind of whatever makes sense to you. in that personal income statement. So it could be dining out, it could be groceries, it could be lunch at work. Sometimes it's important to, break out the dining out from, dining out with family versus lunches that you buy at work. Because if you go through this exercise then and find that, I want to reduce some of my expenses, the more you have them broken down, the easier it is to target certain things. If you lumped all of your expenses into just a category of food, whether that is groceries, dining out, lunch at work, it's going to be hard to determine and say, like, how can I reduce my food expenses? But if you have them broken down into different categories, you can say, oh, I want to break down or I want to eliminate my dining out at work expense. That's the easier of those different things in that food category, the overall food category that I can reduce. So you can kind of target things a little bit easier if you have to reduce some of your expenses. As you go through some of these transactions, you might even be able to identify things that you're currently still paying for on a recurring basis that you don't utilize anymore. So subscriptions or donations that you make to a charity that you don't feel like supporting anymore at the time. You might find some of those recurring expenses and you can eliminate them to start getting a little bit more money into your budget that you can use for other things that might be a little bit more important at this time. And you may also kind of go through some of the expenses and you might look at them and you say, oh, I don't remember what I purchased there. Or maybe you find a $100 cash withdrawal at the ATM and you don't know for sure what you use that money for. Just label it miscellaneous. You may find out later that you've got a miscellaneous problem. You have no idea. You lose track of the cash that you're taking out. You don't know where it goes. So if you're not 100% certain what category it might go into, maybe you kind of label it miscellaneous for now. And if you find some kind of transactions that I would kind of call multi-category transactions, so the purchases that you made in that one transaction could have been in multiple categories. So maybe you went to Walmart and you bought some groceries, you also bought some clothing for the kids, you bought some pet food, and you also bought some plants for the, planting outside for the new spring season here. There's a multiple categories on there. If you can break it down, do it to the best of your ability. If you use some of these companies' apps or loyalty programs, you might be able to go back and look at your transactions and, maybe they break them down for you, or you can kind of go line by line and get a general idea of what categories that they were in. I would just discourage you from just making a category on this personal income statement and calling it Walmart or Target or Amazon. That's a very dangerous thing because you can buy almost anything at those different places. So make sure that you break those down to the best of your ability as well. Once you're finished, total up everything in a specific category. So maybe you start with groceries. So go through all the transactions, skip over everything that doesn't say groceries, but find the things that say groceries, and then start adding all of those things up for that 30-day time period that you're looking at. And then kind of get that total number and just notate it somewhere. Write down groceries, total amount, $405. Then you go through the next category, dining out, or miscellaneous, or kids' clothing, whatever it is. Start breaking those down then and putting them and lumping them all into that overall category that you're looking at there. And then you want to go back and compare it to your income and kind of say, how did I make out? What was my income? What were my expenses this month? And it's important to know this information too, because again, you're going to use it to create that budget, to create a realistic budget later on. Now, at the end of the exercise, you may find some categories that you think you're overspending in. They're high numbers. You want to work on reducing some of those things. Try not to beat yourself up right now. It's the past. It has happened already. Don't worry about it too much. You're just remembering again that you're just trying to generate some good numbers here that you can build off of to create a realistic budget moving forward. So you can take that number. If you're spending $170 dining out, you want to spend $100, you at least know where you're starting from. So when you create the budget, if you put $100 in that budget for dining out, you know that you're coming down from $170 and you need to make some changes in order to get down to $100. Because if you didn't know that $170 number, like I talked about way in the beginning of this video here, you might have budgeted $100 not realizing that you're spending $170 every month. You set yourself up for a disaster because you thought you were spending $100. But if you now know that you're spending $170, only want to spend $100, you know that you need to make some changes in order to accomplish that goal. Now it's time for you to stop guessing how you're spending your money and start learning. Get out those statements, find that 30-day time period that you want to look at, and get to work putting those expenses in categories so you know exactly what you're currently spending your money on. If you are looking for a more organized worksheet to kind of get you through this creation of your personal income statement, I do have a worksheet that I've created that is available for members of my website. I'll include a link in the description of this video here that you can click on, learn about becoming a member. If you're already a member, you can log in then and get access to that worksheet. But it's that worksheet as well as instructional videos on how to create your personal income statement. A little bit more details, finer details on how to create yours are included in those instructions. So again, if you're a member already or would like to become a member, certainly check out that link in the description to get building your more organized personal income statement today. And after creating your personal income statement, if you find that you need to reduce some of your expenses, make sure you check out this video right over here. I go over 9 expenses that are fairly easy to kind of slash from your budget. It's not going to take you a lot of time to reduce those. So make sure you check that out. If you like the video, please make sure you click the like button down below. As a new channel, every like helps. And as always, remember that you deserve financial freedom. Take care of your money so it can take care of you later. See you next time.